All right, everybody. Welcome to Brain Training, the brain training session of Bond to Build. I'm your host, DeAndre Ricardo. We have Michael Campbell in the house, Michael Damon. We have Michaela in the house, Michaela Campbell. We have Liz in the house. And today's brain training series is going to be actually, it's a shout out to Mike because he sent a video clip of Steve Harvey. It's an interview with Steve Harvey.
That was good.
The interview is really good. I'd like everybody to go to the link that we'll have set up at the bottom of the video as soon as we're done with this. And as I said before, I want to introduce books that you can listen to online, or you can listen to. You don't have to read the books. You can just listen to the book. So I want to get back to the Psycho-Cybernetics book. That's a main book I'm trying to push. Psycho-Cybernetics is a good book as I listen to it more and more. So
okay.
I will have a clip of that. But let's just get it cracking. We're gonna get it started with Steve Harvey. It's Monday, y'all. Let's get it cracking.
Happy Monday. Best day of the week, right?
Yes.
Get things started and going. Look at everybody keeping that smile on their face.
Yeah. We have to start having a different energy about Monday. We just got to get Monday.
I typically like them. They do tend to get a little busy in the afternoon for some reason because I think everybody's awake and they're feeling fresh and firing off their emails and stuff. But, it becomes a bombardment on me in a little bit. But I have to remember that I have control over how I react to that. So
there we go. We have control.
Yeah.
It must be fun having structure in your life.
It took a long time to develop.
I still don't have
it. I'm working on it.
It's a process. It's so crazy because I don't feel like I have it as well as I should. But, Ricardo always be like, man, look, you got it all under control.
It always seems like you have everything under control. But I'm starting
to remain calm.
I'm starting to see the behind the scenes things now. Like, I understand what goes on behind the scenes.
Hey, I know how to show up good on camera.
Right. Behind the scenes is just chaos. Like, yeah.
And I added Michaela too, so she's been a huge, huge help. I mean, not trying to hold everything myself.
Can you spare her?
We talked about that. I was like, people need you, right? So, there's another request, Michaela. That's the second one in this past week.
I help everyone.
Yeah.
I can maintain the front on the camera too.
All right, let me do this. I did the sound thing, so let me know if you can't hear it.
Okay, let's test it out.
Quickly stop. Let's hit it.
I want to get into this. You have 5 core principles when it comes to considering business. Dreaming big, dream big, use your imagination, show gratitude, overcome fear, and have faith.
Yeah, man.
When we go over each one, dream big. Let's start with that one.
Everything starts with the dream. Nothing launches without the dream. That comes from your childhood, from anything. It's the dream. It's the core basis of success. See, the thing with me, man, is I don't really focus on the technical aspects of business because I'm not the technical guy. I focus on the mental aspect of business. I focus on the part that go on in here because if you fix what goes on in here, you got a shot now. And technical ain't nothing if you ain't got it set up. So the dream is the core of everything. That dream, man, it's biblical. Man without a dream or vision shall perish. Doesn't bother you. Education ain't even in the Bible. I ain't never read nothing about Harvard, Emory. I ain't never heard no Ivy League scriptures. All it talks is that dream. So that's the core.
Imagination.
Yeah. That's a valid point.
That's critical. What people don't understand is, man, this thing that you imagine is a peak. Albert Einstein had a quote. He said, imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. Oh man, when I heard that tripped me out because here's Albert Einstein setting it out that imagination is everything, it's the preview to life coming attraction. So everything that's in your imagination is God showing you a preview of a coming attraction that he has for you. See, so you can't Don't let nobody play your imagination off. Don't let nobody twist you about what's in your imagination. Don't let, oh, how you see that. They ain't supposed to see it. See, everybody not gonna see your imagination. You can quit telling it to them, because if God wanted them to see it, he'd have put it in their imagination, but he put it in yours. So imagination is as critical as the dream, because the imagination is just God showing you a preview of what he has for you. It's like when you go to a movie and you get your popcorn and you sit down. Before the movie start, what do they show you?
Preview.
They show you previews of what? A coming attraction. Have you ever seen a preview and then the movie ain't come out? Nah, bro. Once you see the preview, it's finna be a movie. You believe that. And that's how the imagination works in your life.
Let me ask, the third one is very interesting to me, show gratitude.
See, gratitude is one of the most overlooked and key principles to your success. If your goal is to be a millionaire and you start out making $20,000 a year, and then God gets you to 50, but you mad because you ain't a millionaire. Well, hold up, man. You not remember that just a minute ago you didn't have but 20. So you got to show gratitude for the 50. Then somehow, by the grace of God, you get to 150. It's people making 150 who used to be dead broke, mad because they not a millionaire. Hold up, partner. Do you remember when you was just making the 50?
Jojo Pies in the house.
Now you done triple that, and you got to understand that there's joy in the journey. So if you don't show the proper amount of gratitude, you're never gonna be happy. You're never gonna be content. And after a while, man, God gonna get tired of you. It's like if somebody come over your house and borrow a cup of sugar every day. Every day somebody come to your house and ask you for a cup of sugar, and you give it to them, and they walk away and don't ever say thank you. How many times can this cat come to your house and get this sugar without saying thank you to you before you as a human being go, yo, my man, you come here every day and I give you this cup of sugar. You ain't said thank you one time. Don't come by here no more. But through God's grace and mercy, he allow us to keep coming back. But suppose you were grateful though. Maybe one time you go to God and ask for another 150 and he give you 500 because you didn't show gratitude. Maybe sometimes when the guy that kept coming by your house asking for the cup of sugar, if he would show gratitude, maybe you go, hey man, here go a 5-pound sack of sugar. That way you ain't come back tomorrow. But if you never show the gratitude, you never become the recipient of the grace. Grace is what you need on top of that helps you get to the next level and take you place. My wife asked me the other day, because I just turned 65, right? And I was talking to my wife and I said, baby, I was just kind of got a little throwed off a little bit, because even I'm human, you know, I got a little throwed off. I said, baby, I just turned 65 and I really was wanting a little bit more to be popped off by now. She said, wait a minute, hold up, Steve. Wait a minute, hold on. She said, wait a minute, let me ask you something. When you was 30, where did you see yourself at 65? I said, well, I ain't see this. She said, exactly. She said, so you can want all you want, but you need to go outside and just drive around and go get in some of your cars and see how you fly and just take a look around. And now I think you'll be all right. And I went on and sat down. Said, go sit down.
What about overcoming fear?
Well, fear is the number one cause of people not being successful, because the average person freezes themselves with fear and they never try. You know, it's like people are afraid to fail. Dog, that's the process. I don't care who you talk to. I've watched y'all's interviews, man. Y'all done talk to some bad people. I don't care who you, I was listening to Rick Ross, man. That boy cold. You know, you sit up and listen to Ross, man, and you go, this a hood dude. He real simple. If you don't understand Ross, it's because you don't want to.
Right.
He just basic dude. But if you are afraid, fear, it freezes you. And people are afraid to fail. Failure is a part of the process. You cannot get where you're going without failing. Partner, you don't learn nothing winning. Michael Jordan took 900 some game winning shots. He only made 140 some of them. Yeah. They don't write about the 700 some misses. But you see, he on Wheatie boxes because of the 146 he made. that nobody gives a damn that he has failed 3/4 of the time. He was willing to take that game-winning shot in hoping to make it. Now, he'd have made 146. So he got a lot of rings on his fingers because he lost the fear of failure. And failure, man, is a part of the process. So you got to lose the fear of failing, man. It's just a part of it. It's the deal.
The last one, having faith.
Well, that's the ultimate. See, I was raised cool, man, because my father didn't go to church ever. My father was a hoodlum. He was a hard-working man, but my father was a hoodlum. He wasn't a gangster. My father was a hoodlum. He had some illegal activities with Don King in Cleveland. You know, when I see Don King, man, we just hug. Don King went to jail for manslaughter. Yeah. My father knew this dude. My father ran numbers with Don King in Cleveland. Because in the wintertime, he worked construction, so he wasn't working. So he was a number runner in Cleveland. So my first job when I was 10 years old was a paper route. And my job was not to just deliver the papers, but I had to go to everybody's house off my bike and remember where they put their numbers. Some people would put their numbers up under the fender of their car. Some people would tape it under their stairway, under their steps. The rats and stuff under there, get up there and get their paper. Some people would put it behind their mailbox. Some people hand it to you every morning. And my father was a hoodlum. My mother was saved. She was a Christian. My mother took us to church. That combination of his doing whatever he had to do to survive for his family, measured with my mother's teaching us about God, prayer, and faith and scriptures, has been the total cornerstone of who I am. My faith, faith is the belief in things that you cannot see. Without that, how you make it? Because I'm finna ask God for something that I don't see no way I can get it. But I got the faith that one day I'll have it. That's cold, man. That's a cold piece to lock into your mind. And people that don't have faith, that don't have a spiritual background, I feel sorry for them, man, because it's finna be way harder. Way harder, because too much gonna happen to you that's gonna require some God. Now, you can think it don't. Well, I don't really believe in God. Okay, you ain't gotta believe, he's still there. You know, I hear people all the time, I don't believe in heaven. Yeah, that's cool, well, it's still gonna be one. One dude told me, he said, well, hey man, suppose you get there and you find out it ain't no heaven. Well, then I lived the best life I could, ain't no heaven. You got a bigger problem if you think it ain't one day and it is. Because now you done what you wanted to do and now you ain't going. So faith, man, all those 5 pillars are the cornerstone of it.
So, here's a prescription to help you along. Begin collecting scrapbooks on persons, past or present, who exhibit both the qualities of character and personality and the life achievements to which you aspire. Select a different representative for each characteristic, each aspiration. Become the reigning expert in these people's lives by collecting and reading their biographies, autobiographies, articles about them, speeches made by them, others' analyses of them that can be found in books like Dr. Lundgren's, Napoleon Hill's, and others. Discover the almost universal absence of predisposition from genetics, and often from their early environment and upbringing, for the personality they developed and the accomplishments of their lives. Ferret out the forces, thoughts, and influences that actually shaped them. By making this your hobby, you will feed your imagination with valuable raw material that it can utilize to build the stronger, more goal-oriented self-image you require to achieve your life aspirations. In Mind Over Golf, Richard Koop tells golfers, if you've attended a PGA or LPGA tour event and found your own swing seemed to contain a little more rhythm and tempo than usual the next time you played, it was no accident. By watching the tour professionals swing their clubs with proper pace, you were able to absorb some of their talent, and it showed in your game. This is common for many golfers of all talent levels. Even the most disjointed golfer begins to look rhythmical after observing smooth swingers such as Mark O'Meara, Gene Littler, or Nancy Lopez. The problem is that the newfound tempo doesn't last very long unless you're able to reinforce your visualization by regularly watching the tour pros, unquote. This is exactly what I'm suggesting you do. Watch the people who best exemplify the characteristics you wish to strengthen and who are living as you aspire to live by studying them through every media and source available. Try this mental training exercise. Pick someone to thoroughly study for a month, to get so intimately familiar with the way he or she thinks that you can sit down and have a conversation with the person and solicit advice and coaching in your imagination.
Was that part of?
What's that?
Was that part of the presentation?
Oh yeah, he added 2 parts.
I added 2 parts. It had 2 parts. That was the book part that I wanted everybody to look.
Oh, okay.
Psycho-Cybernetics.
Yeah.
Cool. So you want to tell us a little bit about your inspiration for today and your selections?
The Steve Harvey one was from you. Like I said, I watched a video clip that you posted for Bond the Bill, and like I said, we'll have the links to everything at the bottom of this video once we're done. And he talked on a lot, especially the imagination. The imagination part was real big to me, and just what you have in your mind, even though it's not present there yet, it's still in motion, and you have to still stay to it and don't worry about when he talks about the fear of failing. I love that because that's how you're gonna make it. Like, you're gonna make it through a whole series of failures. Like, that's just all it is. It's just, that's the human experience. Like, you fail your way to the top. You fail your way to your dream. So that was real big for me. But the imagination part, and that's why I chose the book, The Psycho-Cybernetics, at the end when it talks about feeding your imagination and, looking at people. Like, that's what we do here. Like, you look at people, different people that you want to aspire to, or they may have the success that you want. And so all they're going to talk about is failures. They're going to talk about the failures they had. And so I just thought that was a good way to start this Monday, just to keep it going. But yeah, I was really impacted by that Steve Harvey video. It's a longer video, but if you just click on the links, you can get to the video.
Yeah, it was 2 hours. That's good. I picked up at the end the Psycho-Cybernetics part that you shared, that they talked about the imagination again, and it reminded me back to in Napoleon Hill. By the time you finish reading Think and Grow Rich, you realize that he was taking counsel with all these people that he admired and wanted to work for in his imagination. And, it was just like the fact that you can do that and still take away from that, like as if you were, learning with and heeding advice from their life experiences and stuff, has always been fascinating to me, and just kind of made me realize how underutilized, for me at least, my imagination was in kind of like crafting the life that I want. So like needing to do more imagining about what I want to do, what I want to be, and all that other stuff. It reminded me of that.
Think about children. Like, when you're a child, children imagine so hard till nothing else exists around what they're doing at that time. Like, their imagination is so strong. It's like as we get older, we kind of lose it because we want to go to reality.
Right.
But the imagination has to stay there. It has to stay that strong. Like, it's like now we have to work on rebuilding that same power, that same hard imagination that we used as a child that we kind of lost because the adults wanted us to be more, in reality, or whatever reality is. Reality is about the imagination also. So.
You got some words for us.
Just said about letting kids be in what adults say reality reminded me of the post that Dad you made, and I screenshotted and I sent to you as like a memory. Auditioning at AMDA, he made a post that was like, don't tell your kid like that a certain thing isn't realistic or the arts isn't something as an ideal job and stuff like that. So you saying that kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. I'm not gonna say I was always, but I did get questioned about, this was so funny to me. So here Michaela is about to graduate high school, choosing her career path and what she wants. And I would get questioned about, how can you allow her to choose acting or something like that as a career path. You know, like that's not real, and people still kind of are under that conditioning of thinking like, you know, you can't do that thing that you really love. You have to maybe have that as a fallback thing, but you need to focus on these things that people tell you are meant to design a life. And it was just like, wow, that was like, I didn't even remember that I posted that until you screenshotted it. What's that, 6-7 years ago or something like that? But that's just interesting to me. Like, we do that to kids. It's such a disservice to them. Yeah.
I also wrote down the overcoming fear can block blessings and stuff that comes, which is true, because I realized it recently. Like, have fear about doing certain things when it comes to building my own stuff, and then I'm scared to fail to do it, so then I don't push myself to actually try different methods because I don't want to see it fail, but we have to fail to learn.
Yeah. Saw a message like that today from therapist Daniel. She posted in a group. We're working with a client, and I asked her if she was ready to try this new technology out, and she's like, I am. I'm just going to do it scared. And I was like, that's just the perfect approach. She's like, I'm just doing it scared because I have to do it. And that's that whole fear thing.
You know, he mentioned fear, freeze, fail, and then faith. You know, I feel that, you know, a lot of us, fear does hinder us from moving forward sometimes, you know, pursuing our dreams because, you know, you're afraid you're going to fail. And sometimes that failure brings about realizations that sometimes you need to fail to move forward. And I know that that's kind of one of my issues, the fear of failure, or just a fear of rejection, you know, not necessarily failure, rejection. And as far as the dreams, you know, I feel that your dreams are also a part of your imagination, you know, because, you know, I guess in a sense, there's still that child like personality that I have, because I'm always thinking of different things, you know, that I can do, that, you know, I feel that I can do, and it's a constant thing. And those are some of the things that I fear, because you don't know, you know, fear of the unknown. But, you know, it still doesn't stop me from thinking, because I feel that creative people, they do a lot of thinking. And I lost my train of thought, but somebody can take it from there.
When you talked about creative people doing a lot of thinking, I think sometimes creative people overthink too, to the point of like being paralyzed and then doing nothing. I've experienced that.
It's called, I forgot what it's called. The over-analysis, paralysis.
There you go.
Paralysis by over-analysis. But yeah, that's why. That's why I wanted to just include these clips and include the book at the end, and just to get our minds going on these Mondays. I don't know if anybody else had anything else to add to it.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I apologize. You might hear some some banging noise. They're doing some reconstruction here in my apartment building. But I came into it late, but what I was struck by in what Steve Harvey was sharing about his life growing up, And that when he said several times, my father was a hoodlum, my father was a hoodlum, my father was a hoodlum, it wasn't just about that I had to do illegal activity and risk my life with the rats, getting the numbers packages up under the step. But, you know, clearly his father had some abusive behavior towards him. And it just always strikes me, and it doesn't get, I don't think it gets talked about enough, of the challenges that a lot of celebrities have had in their childhood. All forms of abuse, neglect, you know, all kinds of things. I think about like Marlon Brando, whose mom was a bad alcoholic, and he would come home from school and not know if there was going to be any food in the refrigerator, if she was going to be passed out, if he had to go down to the bar to get her, you know. You know, when we talk about failing your way to success, to me, the other piece in it is overcoming. Overcoming, you know, this core wound experience. If it doesn't get addressed in therapy for celebrities, it'll come back to bite them really bad. Because you can deny that stuff, you can, you know, cover it over, but if you don't address it, it really does come to bite you. So another piece in this journey to success, as we call it, is that you've got to be working on your inner self. And I think that's what the brain training piece that we're doing is about too, raising that level of consciousness, that it's not just about the things that you do externally on your journey to becoming, I believe, is the best version of yourself. It's also about having to deal with that pain. And I think for so many celebrities like Steve Harvey, I was just watching something by RuPaul that maybe we can use, because he's just amazing in what he overcame as a child too. And just in society, you know, being a drag queen, but at the same time, a gay male who's very okay with his masculinity. You know, RuPaul, not confused, you know, just because I put on drag and do this doesn't mean I'm not a man. And that's very unique in any culture. You know, when you hear him talk, you can tell he's taken on doing the work on himself to heal from the past wounds so that he can continue, you know, to be in his success. So I just continue to be fascinated by that, that, you know, because in our culture, right, you know, we think if children go through these really horrible things, that they're going to end up in jail or a psychiatric ward or homeless. And there are just a lot of examples of people who've gone through stuff and have overcame, you know, the challenges of their past to really do what? Entertain us, you know, actors, musicians, dancers, writers, teachers, you know. And again, it's just always striking to me, you know, that's a reality that goes on. And I think that is inspiration. You know, Steve Harvey's talking to me, that was inspiring to other people who had hoodlum daddies and hoodlum mommies too, you know, that you can still overcome that. You don't have to stay stuck in that past. So I'd like to know more about what Steve Harvey did, you know, when challenges came up, like what got him over, you know, what he had to release in order to step into, you know, doing Family Feud and hosting Harlem, the comedy show at Harlem at the Apollo.
That
And
full
just
interview is 2 hours.
Yeah, just who he is now. Yeah. So I definitely want to check out the whole thing because I'm sure he's given more juice in terms of his journey.
Oh, it's a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, very powerful.
I feel that a lot of people have had trauma in their lives, and people end up the way they do because of their childhood, the things that they have experienced. And, we kind of overcome them, in different ways. And I feel that, a lot of the comedians, that was their shield, in other words, for them to kind of step out of reality and create this sense of, I can be funny, people like me or whatever. So, and we all deal with it differently, but, sometimes the people you least expect have had, childhoods of trauma. I would say the majority of people in some way, in some shape or form.
That's one of the things that surprised me about being an adult and talking to people, really kind of like talking about people's where they started and where they are, like how I guess the word is like common and normal trauma is. It's like it's a very much a part of our experience of just living, and it's like it's such a taboo type thing where you think that it only happens to certain people, and people aren't caring, but most people are
certain groups
something.
of people, right?
Yeah, more than others. Yeah, so it's interesting as an adult to have conversations like that with people, and even the fact that that's something that's talked about now, where it wasn't something that was talked about before.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So good one.
Mm-hmm.
Backtracking a little bit, but Jojo Pa said, you said something that gave me confirmation to do it. When you said that we have to internally have that mindset, I was going to record a video this week about mindset and like the process I've been going through to have it, but I was trying to figure out when and stuff like that, but you just gave me confirmation that I have to do it.
Yeah, especially for young people, because they can get a jump on it. I had to wait until I was in my 40s and go through an emotional breakdown, a mental breakdown, to really begin to realize that I could take responsibility for what I was believing and how I was experiencing my life. And so to begin to know that there's this inner landscape that we all have and that we need to tend to. And that to me is what brain training is another word for it. It's tending to that inner landscape so that we can master ourselves. And we're the only people we can master. I can't master nobody else. I can't control nobody else. I can't make nobody else do nothing. But I definitely can learn about myself, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, set my boundaries with myself, number one. We'd be out of control. Oh God. So yeah, and just really learning how to love yourself. And I think that the only way to do that is you got to go in. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, I feel that's probably one of the hardest things to do, to accomplish, finding that strength to overcome, some of the things that's keeping you from moving forward. And as you said, I am the captain of my ship, or however you want to look at it. But sometimes it's just hard to be that captain and do what I need to do to, to move forward.
And it's so important to realize Michael, like you said, we're learning now that trauma is a part of everybody's life in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
It's no longer just you were on the battlefield and you got post-traumatic stress. You can have it because you were exposed to Freddy, what's that name? With
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger movie, at an early age, and you'd be like, don't understand why it's hard for you to take on certain things or go certain places, even traumatized by Freddy, watching stuff too young. So yeah, everybody's got that going on to some degree. And, finally, I think we're heading toward a place where we can talk about mental health challenges, understand that it's not that old belief system or paradigm that your hair's falling out and you're crazy, your clothes all raggedy, you're talking crazy. That is definitely a demonstration of mental health breakdown, but it happens in people in suits. Like, what do you think is going on with Vladimir Putin? That's a mental health breakdown.
Manifested as war.
He ain't right. They're talking about negotiating with him. Really?
I can't.
Somebody, please, let's talk about what's really going on here. And so, we're heading toward a time, I think, where we're going to be more able to accept it, because unless we can accept it, we can't work on it. Mm-hmm. So I believe everybody got their crazy in one way, shape, or another. And especially if you're going to put yourself out into a public arena, I think you have a huge responsibility to clean up your stuff. Because as I preach, any pain that is not transformed will be transferred. And that's what's going on in Russia, It's a huge transference of pain. Again, another traumatized child, if you know about Putin's background. Horrible. Post-war for anybody is horrible. And so he grew up, again, around a lot of abuse and abusive situations, and it shut down his heart, and he became the head of the KGB. Yeah.
And what I was going to say is they have a name for, I don't know if it's not necessarily, I don't feel is a mental illness, but it's called ACEs. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh yeah,
adverse childhood experiences. And that's where I kind of learned that everyone has experienced that at some point in their lives, and it does affect
exactly
your life going forward.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that in, Lizzie, because, I've worked in human services for over 30 some years, really over 40 years. Let me stop lying. It's over 40 years. And it was just common sense when you're working in challenged neighborhoods and stuff, or you come from one, that these things that happen to you in childhood are going to affect what happens to you in adulthood. And that, people don't wake up one morning and decide, I'm going to be an alcoholic, I'm going to be a drug addict, I'm going to be a wife beater, I'm going to be unemployed constantly. That's not what's going on. It all goes back into what was happening in your home. Steve Harvey's saying. And then people like Steve Harvey and others are so important because they bring the fact that, guess what? Somebody can learn to overcome that. Right. You don't have to stay labeled, because that was my fear when ACEs come out. It's like, oh God, here we go, another label, another way to throw something that ain't really taking on no work. And so it's good to know that we're moving more into being able to talk about the impact of trauma and how to intervene. And I see this work that we're doing and that we're sharing is part of an intervention for people. If you are able to realize that you can shift up your thinking about yourself, about others, about the world, yes, doorways open to you that were closed previously. And that's so important to know, that I don't have to stay imprisoned by my ACEs, by the past, by the trauma, that there is a way through. And that's been my experience, and a lot of people that I know, and of course, people I work with.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is important. What we're doing, yeah, important.
One more thing I have to say is I feel that we allow others to control, what we do, what we like, or whatever. And that, I think if we can overcome that more so than succumbing, to it, a lot of people would probably be further along, in their lives if you didn't worry about what other people thought or how it would make someone else feel, rather than, you're taking care of yourself. So, and I think that, that's an issue that a lot of people have, others keep you from moving forward because, you're concerned with what they think about you or what they, feel or whatever. So that's kind of, what I wanted to add.
That's a good point. That's that fear of rejection again, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good discussion today.
Yeah, very good. Like I said,
we always have good discussions.
I was going to say, as usual.
I love how it always just, you never know where it's coming from. So I love the variety of it,
Yeah.
Once again, we'll have the links to the videos that were presented today, right at the bottom of this the clip of this video, and you can look more. That's way more on the Steve Harvey. The Steve Harvey interview is like 2 hours, and the whole Psycho-Cybernetics book, it says 8 hours, but the actual reading of it is not 8 hours. I think they do that because of copyright or whatever, but the actual reading of the book is like maybe 2 something hours, but it's not the whole 8. So when you look at it, you might be like, damn, I don't have 8 hours, but like I said,
they replay it.
They probably do, but I think it's like a copyright kind of thing. They don't want to just put the book out there because they'll get copyrighted or whatever.
Gotcha.
But like I said, I just put those out there just to build people's library. Like, you don't have to have actual books. Like this 2022, you can actually just listen to stuff, and while you're working or while you're driving or whatever. And it's the same, to me, it works the same as if you were reading it. So
that's good to hear from you, because you were always a very avid reader. I always felt ashamed that I didn't read as much as you read.
Actually, listen to audiobooks, it actually improved my reading, because it's like when they say certain words that you might not understand how to pronounce. So it's like it makes your reading more fluent. So it's like, oh, okay. So when you run across it actually reading it, this is how it sounds. So
that's a good one.
I've had that experience. So it didn't dumb my reading down. It actually enhanced my reading. So
I feel like that's what a lot of people think it will do.
Yeah. Like if I listen to it, I'm all of a sudden not be able to read a sentence or it actually enhances it.
Cool.
And Michael, he a mineral person, so you ain't supposed to be reading like as much as he is. You're an earth person. You're supposed to be at the stove with that pot.
That's good to know, because growing up, Ricardo was always reading books, and I'd be like, dang, I don't do any reading.
He's a mineral person.
I'm surprised.
He wasn't just reading fun books. He was reading big old thick books.
Taking in the knowledge, taking in the wisdom.
So mineral people read more?
That makes total sense, because that's exactly how you were growing up.
You're a walking encyclopedia. That's what y'all do.
Oh,
and you remember things. See?
Yeah.
Great recall. Yeah.
That is too funny.
It's too funny, but it's so true, right? It's so amazing.
It's just making me recall all these times, because we've known each other since we were 16. And he'll be like, you remember that time we did? I'm like,
you won't take ownership.
But I'm going to shake my head and be like, I don't, but tell me about it. That's pretty good to know.
That's funny.
Do you remember?
Cool. Well, it's good to see y'all.
Yep. We're going to end this session. Y'all can stay on if y'all like, but I'm going to stop the recording.
I'm going to make me some breakfast. I am starving.
Me too. I gotta eat too. Happy spring, everybody, by the way.
Happy spring.
Thank you. You too.
Yes.
So anything later on today?
Yes, there will be a Writers Cafe starting at 4 p.m. Pacific and Arizona time now. And 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. So
I'll be there. I plan on being there.
All right, y'all.
Thank you, everybody. Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Hopefully later.